see a lot of new faces. Good to see you. Welcome to the Summit Women's Network Talk Show. This morning, we have success stories. Through the last few months, we've brought in a lot of different people to talk to us about different things. Well, today, we're going to talk to some of our own. We've got two dynamic women who are going to tell you of their success stories. I'm not going to take up too much of their time. I'm going to let them tell you about themselves. I'm going to read a brief bio of both of them, just to give you a little background, and then I'm going to introduce you to them, okay? The first person, and by the way, both of these women are Red Hatters. So ladies, if you haven't joined the Red Hatters, you might want to think about doing so. The first lady we have is Patricia Vaughan. We call her Pat. Pat graduated from Sunset High School in Dallas, Texas, and studied business at Eastland Junior College. She worked at Social Security Administration Regional Office for 3 years and the Dallas Morning News for 25 years. Most recent employment was at Dallas Heritage Village. 12-year breast cancer survivor, widow with 2 adult children, 2 adult daughters, Jeanette West and Trina Pearl, stepmother to 8 adult children, 17 grandchildren, and 27 great-grandchildren. She enjoys church activities, cooking, gym, and making new friends. Okay? And that's Pat. Pat, you want to join us? Okay. Our next guest, a lot of you are familiar with her. She is the queen mother of the Red Hatters of the Sassy Jewels chapter. Her name is Kristie Weilage. And I'm going to read you a short bio about her as well. Kristie is a Nebraska farm girl. She graduated from the University of Nebraska with a bachelor's degree in music education. In 1972, she became a Methodist minister wife and moved to Dallas. In 1980, she received a master's degree in special ed from the Midwest State University in Wichita Falls, Texas. Also that year, she became a mother to a beautiful baby boy. Kristie was a music teacher, special ed teacher, and an educational diagnostician before retiring in 2011. She likes to spend time with her son, make improvements to her home and yard, and travel, mostly to Nebraska to spend time with her mother and other friends and family members. I'd like you all to welcome Kristie. Thank you, Kristie. Now, ladies, we all know that this is a success story show. So what we're going to do things a little different today. I am going to turn over the microphone, and I'm going to let these ladies tell their stories. And after they do so, we're going to open it up for questions and answers, okay? All right? Okay, Pat, would you like to begin?
Sure. First of all, I want to thank our elders for asking me. This started because we were at a reception for an art show, and somehow I just started telling her a little bit about myself and some things that how God had moved to help me. And she said, "Would you share that with the ladies in the network?" And I said, "Sure. I'm always happy to share what God's doing in the network." And as you were told, I've overcome a lot of adversity, and that's what this is pretty much about. Like she said, I'm a 12-year breast cancer survivor, and I went to get my mammogram yesterday, and I'm still clear. And through God's grace, I know I'll continue to be with And I just wanted to say that everyone, there's not anyone in this room who hasn't overcome adversity. We all go through trials in our lives, and it's how we react to it and what we do is how it molds us. And, you know, the word says, I think it's John 6:33, that in this world you'll have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I've overcome the world. Mm-hmm. And especially the most difficult year that I had, that I was sharing with Ariel, was 2002. My mother lived with us, and she was bedridden, and I was helping to take care of her, but I was fortunate enough to have some outside help that came in too. Can y'all hear me? And, okay. July 4th, which was my younger daughter's birthday, her husband had a grand mal seizure that was so strong it threw him out of bed on his face, and she couldn't turn him over, and he died. She had a 6-month-old baby that they were in the process of adopting because she couldn't have children. So in the middle of the night when she called me, I rushed over and helped her. And so that was another, just another thing that I was doing. My husband of 21 years, because I was married early and then divorced and then remarried this wonderful, wonderful man, this Christian man. But he had prostate cancer, and he was at the final stage of that when all of this happened. And so, it was just another thing. I was thinking, I don't know how much more I can do physically. 6 weeks after that, I went to the doctor. Well, I didn't go just to go. I was getting ready for bed, and I was just putting on my nightgown and had my arms up, and my wrist brushed against my breast, and that's how I found the lump. I wasn't looking for it. It was big enough, and it grown very, very fast because I'd been to my gynecologist in May, and there was nothing that could be felt then, and the mammogram hadn't shown anything, so this was a very fast growing, and I just knew in my heart that it was cancer. But it was just another thing I kind of put on the shelf and just said, because there was too many things for me to worry about. And they confirmed that it was cancer and operated the 1st of September. And, and because it was so aggressive, they had asked me if I wanted to be in a research program, and I said yes, because I read that if you have cancer and there's an opportunity to be in research, do it, because you'll get the treatment they'll be giving 2 years from now. So yesterday, anyway, God is just so good to me, and I just wanted to share just a few things. I did that one. Jesus wants to be with us in every single situation, and I've learned over the years that no matter what you're going through, thank Him, and that's the word, because if you can thank Him, you're bringing Him into the problem and you're not trying to solve it yourself. And He knows you're doing it, and He wants to comfort you, and He uses every single situation we're in for His purposes. And He certainly used, my circumstances. Just that God, gives us trials. He's in charge of everything. No matter how hard the trial, He's there. And then 1.5 years ago, I fell and broke my hip. And here I was in this big old house, and I didn't have my cell phone with me. It was probably about as far away from me as where you're sitting. And I tried to get up and couldn't. I just sat there on the floor, and I said, Lord, you've got to help me. No one is going to come looking for me. Help me. And I got the idea, which of course God put in my head, to put my hand underneath my hip and try to move. And I was able, with my hand, this other hand, I was able to move maybe that far. And it took me almost an hour to get over to where my phone was. And I was so focused on getting my phone for survival that I was blocking out the pain. Because later I thought, how in the world did I do that? And I know it was just Him. And I was able to I couldn't get a hold of any neighbors. And I called Amy, one of my stepdaughters, and she and her husband came over and helped me. And she was the instigator of me moving to Grand Prairie. And but I'm thankful to be over here. And we just don't know. In a moment's notice, our lives change.
That's right.
But God's always with us. Let me just that I'm in a new chapter of my life, and I'm very happy. And I joined Red Hat just because some of the ladies in here said, you just have to do that. And I'm just meeting it. One of my favorite things to do is to meet people. And a few years ago, God put me in Mary Kay. So I'm a Mary Kay consultant. And it's something, you know, at first I thought, whoops, I was in church 3 days later. And I said, oh, I forgot to ask you, God, is this something you want me to do? And he gave me just a very quick vision, just an instant. And I was talking to some ladies that were in folding chairs in my den. And I knew then that that was, you know, that was his place for me. And he's blessed me greatly in it. And so I'm thankful for all the things that he's placed in my life. My 2 older daughters are in Ohio, so I don't get to see them very often. The baby, at the time of her dad dying, is 12 years old now. And, you know, and then the reason they moved up there, my older daughter married a man from Ohio, and his work was up there, and she moved up there, and it just nearly, I tore my heart out. I just missed her so much. And she said, will you move up here? And I said, I don't want to live in ice and stuff. No, thank you. And then when my younger daughter, Trina's husband, died, about 2 years later, she said, Mom, I'm moving up to Ohio. And that really hurt me. This was my only grandchild on my side. You know, like I said, I have all the step ones. But she said, I miss Jeanette. I've got to make a change. I've got to get away from here and all the memories. And this is something I need to do for me. And it just really hurt. And at first, I had this attitude, well, don't ask me to help you move. But God changed my heart, and I ended up driving the rental truck.
Oh my goodness.
Because she could not, and she was so determined she was going to go no matter what, and she would have had to have the car towed behind and have a 3-year-old in the seat with her, and that would not have worked at all. And so we made it up there, and you know, but God, he just blesses in so many ways. And there's several of the grandchildren that I'm very close to that are here in Grand Prairie. Ashley is 16, South Grand Prairie. She plays the bass clarinet. I think that's what it is, bass clarinet, which is this huge instrument. And the South Grand Prairie band went to UIL last year, and she placed first in the state in the bass clarinet. So I'm really proud of that girl. And the band plays second. So that's that. And then Riley is 15, and just a year behind Ashley. She has a different mother. She's Amy's daughter. And I'm just really proud of Amy. She sings in the choir. She has the school choir as well as the church choir. And she just has a beautiful, beautiful voice. I didn't realize how beautiful it was till she was singing at her grandmother's funeral. And it was, she really is gifted. And then Tiffany is Ashley's younger sister. She's 13. And she goes to the Arts Academy, and she's in theater. So I'm blessed by having that family here. And I make it to Ohio maybe once a year with that ice and snow. So that's really, yeah, my story. So thank you.
Thank you, Pat. I just have one question for you before we go to Kristie. Can you tell us a little bit about how you felt when you discovered the lump and found out that you had breast cancer?
I just said, I can't be sick. I'm the one who takes care of everyone. And, you know, I didn't have time to focus on myself. It was a hard time. I had so many friends and family that just jumped in. They brought food. They said, you know, let me take you to chemo. They just, you know, just were there for me.
So you have friends and family support.
Yes.
Friends and family support is very important for
right.
our friends and when we're in trouble. Kristie.
Thank you.
God is very important in my life too, and if we may, I'd like to start with the prayer that I say before I speak. Dear God, please help me share what you want me to share, so at least one person in this room will hear what you want them to hear. Amen.
Amen.
We've all been traveling on our different journeys of life, and here we are. We come from all directions, and we're right here in the same spot today. And Ari, I want to thank you for the opportunity to share some of my challenges and successes. The successes are all because of God working in my life. We've all had those challenges and successes. Pat and I have been asked to share ours publicly, and maybe you can too when the meeting is over. I'd like to hear from you. My identity used to be attached to other people. I was a farmer's daughter, a Methodist minister's wife. I was Jordan's mom. I was somebody's teacher. When I was 40, I decided to take a good look at myself. Today I can say that I am a child of God. I am a woman who loves her family. I am a retired educator. I am someone who's not afraid to tell my secrets or my feelings. I am a recovering alcoholic, and I am a cancer survivor. When I became a Methodist minister's wife, I thought we needed to be an example of the perfect family. We weren't, but I kept all of these secrets inside. They got very, very heavy. I didn't tell you exactly how I was feeling. People said, how are you? I said, fine. I wasn't, but I said fine. I wanted it to look good on the outside. It's like living in that glass house. Those secrets made me sick because I bottled them all up inside. Nobody knew all of me. Some people knew parts of me that I wanted you to know, but nobody knew all of me, and I didn't know who I was either. 8 years after our marriage, our son was born, and as he grew older, we noticed he didn't play well with others. His behaviors were naughty sometimes. We took parenting classes, took him to the doctor, got him on meds, special classes, and we finally, through the school psychologist, found out that he was, first of all, like second grade, they said he was ADD. By the time he was in 8th grade, his diagnosis was bipolar and schizophrenic. Then in high school, he was Asperger's also, which is a high-functioning autism. He started having seizures at age 5, so he's epileptic also. But at least this gave us a handle on how to parent him. So I really am grateful for all that happened. People used to say, God knew what he was doing when he placed Jordan in your lives, having parents as a teacher and a preacher. I quietly agreed, and inside I was very angry that I didn't get the child I thought I was going to have. And I couldn't tell anybody. You know, it was difficult to deal with some of him. I was mad at people, I was mad at God, but I continued to smile. And I had very thick masks on, you know, since I said nobody knew me. I was definitely not fine. In the privacy of my own home, I drank. I started to drink more, and I started to drink more often to cover up all of my disappointments, my fears. I acted like a fake. I didn't like that part of me. I was trying to uphold a reputation, and it got out of hand. Drinking allowed me to forget reality for a while and to live in my own fantasy world where everything really was fine, because it wasn't reality. It was my made-up world. Then the last 6 months of my drinking, I began to drink publicly with church people. I began drinking and driving. I began drinking and driving with my son in the car. And I finally said, I have crossed my own line of morality, of decency, of safety for my son, and I needed to sit down and take a real good look at myself and what I had become. That is and was the biggest challenge of my life up to that time. And I had to say goodbye to my best friend, the alcohol. It knew me. I told it my secrets. It told me how to act. It told me how to rearrange the past, how to plan the future according to what I wanted. It encouraged me to do that. So I had to say goodbye to my best friend. In treatment, we actually had a grievance process. We gave it a funeral. I mean, it was tearful. It was saying goodbye. Alcohol knew about my anger, my disappointments, my fears, my lack of self-confidence in who I was. The disease of alcoholism is very powerful. It is more powerful than any person's willpower. Only God is more powerful than the disease of alcoholism. And I did call on God. I had always been what I thought fairly close to God. I always had a good image of God. He was wonderful. He made the flowers and little baby animals, and he loved and forgave. That was a very elementary idea of God up until I was 40. But then my faith got deeper. I called on God, and by the grace of God, I have been sober for over 24 years. I didn't understand sobriety at first. I thought it meant I won't get drunk. But sobriety means we won't even have the first drink, because that leads to more and more. That's the disease. God was with me as I stood at that turning point. My attitude and outlook on life have changed. In the past 24 years, I have come to know myself. There were many masks to peel off. I pray for knowledge of God's will and for the power and energy and motivation to carry that out. God has helped me with many challenges. First, my alcoholism, which I've told you about. Second, raising a son with disabilities. That was the challenge. The success is I can now see him through God's eyes, and he is a wonderful young man. I love visiting with him, being with him, and he teaches me. He sometimes says things back to me that I have taught him, and I need to hear that. For my 23rd sobriety birthday, I was going over what I might say as I celebrated that evening, and I asked my son, the church sermon was entitled, How Do You Behave Like a Christian? How do you show others that you are Christian? So I turned that around and I thought, how would others know I am a recovering alcoholic? And I asked my son for his input on that. He said, well, Mom, I know you love me. And yes, he knows I love him. I tell him I love him. When he was young, I was not proud to be his mom because he wasn't what I thought I would have. But I am proud today, and he and I love each other very much. A third challenge was a divorce after 23 years of marriage to a wonderful man. That was a challenge. The success is I have been praying for him and his wife because my son is with them sometimes too, and I want my son to be around people who love.
That's right.
So I prayed that they would continue to love each other and prosper and be happy people. Today I can say the man I was married to for 23 years is a man that I love and respect as a person because he is wonderful and he is the best father our son could have. Fourth challenge was finances. As a married person, we had not saved for retirement. We lived in the church houses, which is called a parsonage. We hadn't been putting away money for a house that we might need to buy when we retired. So I divorced with a good job and a little bit of farm money that my parents had passed on to me, which made a down payment on a house. I continued to work. I lived a frugal life. I was able to pay for a home in 14 years and put a sizable amount of money into savings, so I am able to be retired comfortably on my retirement salary and have a nest egg. So that, that happened because I asked God to show me how to do this budget plan and to keep me mindful that I'm responsible for me in my future, and I wanted to retire. Education is hard. So that's also because of God. And fifth, I'm not going to take too much time to talk about, was my challenge with cancer. God helped me through surgery and radiation when I didn't want to go for another treatment and another treatment. I had digestive problems. I have a degree in music and I used to sing a lot, but the surgery has numbed this side of my face. My smile is crooked, but I still have a smile and I still have my teeth, and I'm glad. So God has helped me through all of those things. I just give him the credit for inspiring me through what I read, my writing, what I hear you say. I listen to people and I learn from them because I think God talks through you too. Thank you.
Helga has just overcome. Y'all pray for her. That's all I can say. Yes. I'm going to let you guys saturate in that for just a second. You know, it's that time I'm going to do one of my favorite things. Doing prizes. Right? So you can think about some of the things that we just said. And get your questions ready, because I'm sure that there's some things that were said that many of us can relate to. I know that there are several things that have been said that I can relate to. So while we let our minds think about that, Reverend's coming with the tickets. Did everybody get a ticket? Who did not get a ticket? We have one here that did not get a ticket. We'll just wait until she gets one. Get your tickets out, ladies.
It's a bad number.
Yes.
666.
Oh.
Oh, no.
I gotta wait.
She's building suspense.
I am, thank you. Let's mix these up really, really good. Okay. Let's get this ready to pull. And the number is 992. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put these over here, and I'm going to let you pick your own. How about that? Okay, you can pick your own, Lily. Okay. Thank you, darling. Okay. Beverly.
Let her pull. Let the winner.
Lily, you want to pull? Pull a ticket for us?
Okay, good luck to everybody.
Thank you. And that's 987. 987. By the way, everybody, that's my mom. She's here from Michigan. So everybody say hi to my mom.
Hi.
Will you pick a ticket for us? And the winner is 073. Woo! I get so excited about this, y'all. She picking. Grab one of these. Behind the scenes over here. That's right. That's the way to do it. Thank you. And that number is 994. Woo! Beverly. And the winner is 990. 990.
It's the last three of the ticket number.
990.
Okay, 990 going once. 990 going twice. 990 is gone. Right? Okay, Beverly, go ahead, pick one. Should I let her pick one?
Yeah.
Of course.
And the winner is 068. Thank you so much. Okay, you guys, everybody's winners though, right? We're all winners. Okay, now, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna let you guys ask some questions. I'm sure we have lots of questions for our guests today. And maybe we all can get some insight and some help with some of the things that we're going through, right? Okay, who wants to be first? Don't everybody raise your hands at once. Lily.
I do not have a question, but I have a comment. I have a comment to make. First of all, I want to applaud Pat and Kristie for sharing that tough life, all they went through, and their courage and everything. And it's so wonderful that you all are so successful today, and I adore you all. And I wish you all the best, a long, healthy life, and see you all around in the summit.
Thank you.
I want to pose this to both of you ladies. What is your hardest challenge today?
I'm not sure. Even though my stepkids moved me here, they pretty much abandoned me. And I get a call once in a while. Even I try to do things, but they're always busy. So I've just, just to find new friends, which I'm constantly doing. And I do love coming to the summit because it's a great opportunity. And I joined Red Hatters just to meet more ladies and to have more things to do. And I know that this will pass as time goes on. And so I'm very, very, very blessed. So, yeah.
I go in and out of depression during the year, and when I do, I get stuck. I'm not motivated to make self-improvements. So I guess that's the biggest challenge for me, is to just get out of the house and do something when I don't feel like it.
Wow. That's right. I think that would be a big deal, because as many of you know, that one of the reasons that the network even exists is because of the state of depression that I went through, and how I felt that I had no purpose, and just getting up and waking up in the morning with not being able to get out of the bed, you know, just laying there and feeling hopeless, so to speak. So we have to make ourselves, we have to make ourselves, we have to drive ourselves and look into ourselves to bring that up, you know, and only God can do that for us. Any other question? Helga, you have a question?
I have a comment for Kristie. Kristie, I see you in a different light. I'm proud of you for your testimony you shared with us today, and we all can learn from that.
My drinking was a secret, and my recovery was a secret. I still didn't want people to know I was a recovering alcoholic, because then they would know I was an alcoholic. So I was very careful about who I shared this information with. I was challenged on Facebook by one of my high school girlfriends to write 3 things I'm thankful for 7 days. And I got to sit and reflect. And I did share that I was an alcoholic for the first time. I've told other people in the past, but I think I am too old to worry about what people think of me. I don't have an attachment of church members. I am a member of a church. It's a very open-minded church, and some of them know, and if they find out, it's going to be okay. So I don't have the reputation either of a teacher. You know, alcoholism, people know more about treatment and alcoholism today than they did 25 years ago. And they're more accepting of it. But still, in education, and other occupations too, you need to be careful about who you talk to and share all this information, because it might make an impression on advancements and moves they might or might not offer you. So it's just recently that I've been willing to share all of this, and I do it because maybe there's somebody I can help.
Amen.
Maybe it's you, maybe it's a family member, maybe it's a friend, but I am here and I am going to be of service to anybody who needs me.
My question is, you said your husband was a pastor. How did he handle your alcoholism? How was it on him? Said you didn't want anybody to know. Was that a challenge for him?
Sorry, we only got one mic now. Remember, we're still in our infancy.
Yes.
My husband usually went back to work in the evenings, because back then we didn't have cell phones. He had to have his phone in his church directory, and he called people at night. And, you know, I used to say I drank because he was never home, but I sobered up and got in touch with reality, and I realized I couldn't wait for him to leave so I could drink. So he really didn't know how much I drank. We were both in denial. And when I said, the people at the treatment center said I'm an alcoholic and I need treatment, I was crying, and he couldn't believe it either. But you know, that was something I couldn't figure out by myself. I couldn't figure out how to stop drinking, and I needed help. He is very open-minded, understanding, compassionate. He was supportive the entire time. I had a lot of good support from him.
I have a comment for that. You said your stepchildren moved you here, and now you have very little communication with them. I have experienced that. When my husband died, he's been dead for 21 years. I lost the connection
that I have with my stepchildren. I only see them during holidays or special occasions. But I pick up the phone and call them rather than waiting on them to call me. And that has helped me.
That's a great comment. Pat, you want to say something?
Just that I have called and
I know.
left messages and, don't communicate that much. But I'm going over to Amy's when I leave here because she's having a garage sale.
Yes, I am.
And I just try to support in every way possible. And Ashley is being baptized Sunday, and I'm real excited about that, and I'll be going to her church.
That's good. That's good.
And pray about it. Maybe they come around.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Let me thank Ari again, because as we listen to your stories, we realize that we need each other. And I realized also what Pat's going through, because I never hear from my own kids.
That's true.
But as long as we have each other, we can support each other, and we can be there for each other.
That's right.
That's right. That's right. It's unfortunate that sometimes, so many times, and I'm just going to use myself for an example. I'm just sharing this because I've never had a child of my own. And I see relationships with mothers and their children, and a lot of times I'm like, I'd like to have that. I'd like to have a child and say that's my own, my mini-me. But you know what? When you see some of the things that you see and how some of these children treat their parents, and you see the heartache, and you hear the pain in their voices, that's why we need each other. We don't all have loving children. We don't. We don't all have loving grandchildren. We don't all have beautiful neighbors. We need each other. And that's one of the reasons that we're all here. Because we do need each other. Alcoholism, breast cancer, depression, loneliness, drug abuse, HIV, all of that stuff, we need each other. Okay, we got a question over here, Marge.
I have really more of a comment to add to all these from today. First of all, my admiration and respect to you two ladies for having the courage to stand up and tell your secrets and your pain. I retired in 2006, and I had always told myself I was going to get out and do something good and not sit home, but I could not find what I wanted to do. I kept looking, and I'm the kind of person that the less I go out, the less I want to go out. I just say, oh, well, I'll do it tomorrow, or then we'll go out, and it never did, and it didn't happen. You cannot imagine how thrilled I was when I saw that the summit was being built around the corner from where I live in. Because the old center was in downtown Grand Prairie, and it would be, oh good heavens, maybe a 15-minute ride. But this was right around the corner from me. I live just north of the South Grand Prairie High School. So I joined the summit a few months later. Hallelujah. I always wanted to join the Red Hats, and they started a Red Hat group, and that has really gotten me out of a rut. Now I'm looking for time at home that I can just veg out and do nothing. So my thanks to Grand Prairie, to the summit, and to the Red Hat group. Thank you, Kristie.
And Kristie, by the way, is the queen mother of our chapter of the Red Hatters.
I'd just like to make a comment too that I truly admire the two ladies for giving their testimonies, and to me it gives me hope. Anyone who has some problems or things they tackle or undergo, there is always hope, and I believe that as long as we rely on God to be our source of hope, and we shouldn't always be give up. We shouldn't give up.
And Jeannie and I are going on a trip in November. We're going to take a river cruise, Viking river cruise to Germany. And I hadn't been home in 25 years. So Nuremberg, from Budapest, Hungary to Nuremberg, and then we catch the plane back from Nuremberg, my hometown, DFW.
Are there any more comments or concerns? Any more questions?
Mine again is more in the form of a comment, but we look at each other and we're all so very different, and we think, oh, she's really got it together, she would never have any problems, why am I going through this, or, what am I doing wrong? And that's not necessarily the case. Each of us has something that we're dealing with, but we also, each of us have something positive to give. And haven't talked to Pat very much, if at all, but I've talked to Kristie quite a bit. And I talked to her, I don't know if you remember this, we didn't know each other at the time, going to the brunch at was it Nordstrom's? Right, some brunch we were going to at Christmas time, and we happened to sit by one another and we got to talking. And I found out that she's a real woman with real issues like me. So I thank all of you for sharing, because we look at you can't judge a book by its cover. That's right.
That's right. Oh, that is so, so true. We look at people and think they got it all together, not realizing, and then also we look at people and we want what they have. We don't know what they had to go through to get it. We don't know the struggles of other people. That's why it's always important to not judge a book by its cover. Don't just look at somebody and make an assessment, because we can't do that. Not in reality. We do it, and we do it most of the time it's unconscious, but if you take your time and think about what you think, I call it living on purpose. I try to live on purpose every day. On purpose, think on purpose, because you have the power to control your thoughts. Believe it or not, the Bible tells us that we can cast down imagination, bring into captivity every thought. And I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So if all minds are clear, I'm mindful of your time. I'm gonna say that I thank you so much for coming. I hope that everybody got something out of the messages today, that we all grew just a little bit, if not a lot. Okay? And I just want everybody to remember, what is our motto? There is
life after 50.
Okay, I'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Pat, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.